Okay, so yeah, we've been talking about grandfather's clock here. Just a little heads up now to catch up with the recorder. I just turned the recorder on in case we get something interesting. And we're talking about the problem with getting to F, and pointing out that you don't actually have to bar this F chord, right? You can play it with just an arch, just your fingertip, and then you can put your fingers down in the order you're going to need it. Yeah, third finger and then fourth.
Yeah. So and get the have to make sure I get back to the F on the second bass there.
Right. Yeah, I got to make sure then too that you play the second string twice too. With that second and third melody note are both on the second string, right? The two Ds.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, let's hear a little of it from the beginning.
okay. Got myself all on it up here. Okay.
Hang on a second. Let's talk about this first part before we go into the second part.
Okay.
A couple little things. A lot of times you're not getting the third bass note back to the lower string. So a lot of times you're playing the same bass note on the third beat as on the second and fourth.
Okay.
Okay, and it's really hard to pay attention to that. It's like this is a plate spinning trick sort of as far as you got so much going on, right? And the let's see, and then the melody in one measure. When you get back to the C, again, I don't know how well you can hear this till that truck gets out of here, but
Okay, fine.
you can hear it okay? Okay. So in the first melody, the first measure of C, the melody is those three notes, the C and the B and the C, right? And you did a good job getting to the G. Then on the next C, we had all the melody notes on the first string, right? So you want to make sure you use your third finger for all of those and keep your thumb alternating. And then we got to get to the F. And the next measure of C, though, the three melody notes are all the same. It's three C's. So you don't have to move anything in that measure. I think once or twice in that measure, once you probably played the other measure where it goes from C to B to C, and then, let's see. So you don't always have to put down the whole chord, like the whole C chord. Like in that third measure, when all the melody notes are on the first string, all you need is the two bass notes. And don't worry about grabbing the C here. Just leave that finger off. You're going to need it on the first string in just a second, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah, so you want to get in the habit of landing there. And then there was something else weird on the G later. So here's the C with the three C's. And then, like this measure of G, you only need the bass note, right? And then you're going to add your second finger there, but your third finger is going to be glued down on the sixth string, right? Yeah, yeah. But you don't want to worry about like trying to start like that. You don't want to get that second finger down too early.
Right.
You know, you just want to start that measure with the bass note on, and then move it as you need it.
Right.
Okay. Um,
Okay.
so one of the main kind of strategies of fingerpicking songs is um, you take I don't know if I want to call them shortcuts, but you really only go for what's important. You don't have to have everything down as if you're like strumming a song and singing it, you know? So you really kind of want to minimize motion and everything you're doing with your left hand to keep it just more efficient, you know? And anyway, so try to do it one more time.
Okay. 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 What I was doing there.
Yeah, not quite. That finger won't work. Yeah. Good. And then now we'll talk about the second section, but that was good, better. And most of the missed third bass notes, actually, you never miss the one on the F. Like you're a little more conscious of what's going on the F chord, but you're pretty consistent on the C's and the G's to not get back to the lower string on that third beat. So going into the second half, now we have basically the second ending, right, where it starts with the same pinch on a C, and then the two notes up on the first string, right, the E and the F. So let's hear that measure.
Okay.
Yeah, one more time, and pay attention. Watch that third bass note. Now you got the melody worked out there, but try
Yeah.
to make sure to get back to the fifth string on the third beat.
Might not get it there.
Oh, you know what? I couldn't tell.
Okay. Okay.
Do it again. Let me turn this up a little bit because I've got this. Oh, good. It's making more noise. Maybe that means it's got it loading the car on and it's getting out of here. Okay, try it again. Yeah,
Okay. I'm all tied up here.
yeah.
Uh,
There you go. That was it. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Do it again. One more time. Yeah, let's hear it again. That was great. Yeah. And then the next melody note, going into the next measure, going
Yeah.
into the next measure, now you got to add the high G on, right? Yeah.
Right.
So try it one more time and carry in and go on. Yeah, connect them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, let's pinch, pinch, pinch.
Right. Let's go with four pinches here. Yeah. So right, that last pinch is tight because it's two strings right next to each other, right? It's the fourth string and the third string.
All right.
So you gotta play just those four melody notes. Just play the while you've got the G on in the bass.
Yeah.
Just play the four melody notes, D, C, B, A, right? One more time. Yeah, that's it. Do it again without the bass. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And now try it with the bass.
okay. Just gotta go back.
Good, yeah. Yeah, yeah. You got it? Got to move your second finger, right. Yeah, almost. Okay, slow down. Yeah.
There we go.
You know what I find when I'm working on measures that are particularly difficult um, is you really have to kind of memorize it, eh, before you can really play it very well. Like even just this measure, you know.
Yeah.
I think as soon as you can have it real clear in your head and do it without looking at the page, it actually may be reaching the point where looking at the numbers on the page is adding a layer of confusion to it, even though you might have both parts kind of clear in your head. But it's like you're processing kind of the information, and you might not really need to. Try it once now without looking at it. Play those four melody notes. What were they?
Okay. The four melody notes. Okay.
Yeah, one more time. Good. This time, do it with the G on in the bass, but don't play any bass notes. Just have your third finger there, because that's the motion your left hand's going to go through. Right now, just the melody. Yeah. And now try it with the bass notes.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's an approach you should think about in anything you're trying where there's a measure particularly difficult. Try to get it memorized first, so that you can be really thinking about the motion of what your fingers have to do.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And a short little sideline on that, I find that the more difficult a song is that I'm working on, the more I just have to memorize it before I can even remotely play it. It's like if it's now, and on the other hand, if it's relatively easy, it's almost impossible to memorize because I can look at the music and just play it, like unconsciously.
Okay.
And so it's harder. I find it harder to memorize really easy pieces compared to really hard ones because the harder it is, it's absolutely necessary to memorize it. There's no chance of playing it without while looking at it.
Okay.
So, and right now that measure and some of the rest of this song falls in that category of this is it's a new challenge for you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, well, I'll do it. I'll just plug on to the end here. So we've gone through it here. Um,
Yeah.
okay.
So, do you hear how that measure? Oh, finally, tow truck's gone. Do you hear how that measure that you were just working on? Let me play the second part once. So we got this right. And here's that measure with all the pinches. So really, as you work on that measure, you want to take it one more beat because it makes no sense to like leave it hanging there because the next obstacle here is going to be getting to that pinch on the C chord that is your index finger along with the bass note, right? So you want to, but you could hear as soon as you heard me play that measure and play the first beat of the next measure, it's like, oh, now it makes musical sense, right?
Yes, yes.
And now from here to the end is actually really easy because this measure has the same pickup notes. When I talk about pickup notes, like this song starts with 2 pickup notes, right? And pretty much every measure has a main note that's played on one, and then 2 more pickup notes that carry into the second measure or the next measure, right? So right here, like this section started with the E and the F as the pickup notes.
Right.
And now, then we've got a measure here, Here's the 4 pinches again. Now we have the pickup notes heading again. So those 2 measures were identical to ones we just played.
Okay.
And now we have a measure of G with just a whole note. And then another measure of G with the same note and 2 pickups. Now a whole bunch of whole notes. And every other measure we've done here, we've done before. Here comes the F, whole notes. So you're really at kind of like the last obstacle in the song, or the last new thing, is that measure with the 4 pinches.
Okay.
And then everything else after that, will be old news by the time you get there.
Okay. All right. Then good. Now that I've heard you play that in the context, that helps a lot. Just now I can hear that, so I'll practice through that and do that.
Yeah, I don't know if you're as as familiar with this melody as like I was when I was working on it, but it's one of those things that if you could walk around humming it or singing it or whistling it or something, just so that you've got the tune really well in your head,
Yeah.
that would help a lot too, I think.
Yes, and I'm not as familiar with it, but I can get familiar with it, knowing how that transition goes there, and I'll make that happen.
Hey, something else that would be a good exercise and or project for this is to just with a flat pick practice playing the melody. Just don't even look at the bass notes so that you get this. So, and what I did there was played, so that was just the melody to the first half, the first part, right? But it also would be just a good little coordination exercise for picking out a really simple melody that doesn't move fast or anything. We're not talking about, But that would be a good way to help get it better in your head too, is to just play the melody. You don't necessarily even have to do it with a pick, but just anyway, worth thinking about.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay. All of a sudden, my screen went crazy.
Oh,
Um, okay. So yeah. So okay. Where is this?
good. Yeah. No, no. So here, this is where we have whole notes. Bom, 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 da,
Oh,
da, da, da. Right? So it's not exactly the same. Yeah. Just bom, bom, bom. You're down to the last three notes. They're all whole notes. Right back to C now. Wait, it's got to end on the C. Yeah, yeah.
okay. I'll do that.
And what
Um,
else? What else could help that is learning the words. But it stopped short, never to run again when the old man died.
okay. Okay. I'll pull out the words and those were somewhere here.
And you could
Uh,
probably even find all kinds of versions of people singing this at YouTube. So even if you just played it a little bit in the background to get it kind of a little subconscious.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Um,
how are the other things going?
well, still working through the trilogy of uh, Neil Young. What song am I thinking of? Oh, Country Girl.
Oh yeah,
Country. Yeah, I'm just kind of working through that, and that's actually the memorization thing. Um, actually, I found myself trying to memorize different pieces of that so that I could make the transitions correctly and all.
yeah.
That's 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 really that's coming along. I'm kind of getting there on that.
Okay.
And what that also what I wanted to work on or think about was another a song just kind of like what we were just doing there with some flat picking strumming and transitions and stuff.
Hmm.
And here's the thing that I'd like to work on,
Okay.
um, which I don't. I have no idea what the name of it is, but it's the little tune that. Do you know who Ian Meadows is? He's this guy that does guitar reviews.
Oh, I've heard people, and even you. I've heard a couple people talk about him. Yeah,
Okay,
but
well
I'm not familiar. Okay.
he plays the same thing at the beginning. He plays the same routine through every single review. I
Okay.
guess why it's valuable and
Okay.
all. And so he plays this strumming thing. If you just on YouTube,
Yeah.
uh, Ian Meadows, Martin 0018, and you'll find him.
Okay. Yep. So it says acoustic guitar demo. Yeah. So just play that first one, and he plays a little lick on it.
Yeah, you'll see you'll quickly.
Well, that's interesting. So he's really just kind of checking the tone of the guitar, like the sustain and things. And that's really interesting because it clearly sounds like a mahogany guitar, which is what the 18s are. So does he play that same thing in other videos too?
Every single one. He
Okay.
goes on and he does a figure picking section, and he does a other things, but it's always the same. So
Yeah.
you could play there's a whole bunch of, there's a zillion of them,
Okay.
but any guitar that he reviews, he plays that.
Okay. So
Thing.
that is actually, I mean, it's just kind of a random progression in the key of G, playing a bunch of, I don't know how random it is, but if he plays it the same way every time, it's not quite random, but it's, anyway, it could be based on like a real song, but it has a lot of licks in it, or a lot of, I'd rather call these, they're fills, they're like embellishments, right, that you can do on virtually every chord. Has what I might call natural embellishments, something that's really easy to do on that chord, like maybe just a hammer-on. And so, for example, one of the things he did there, he played most of his C's with the G and the bass, but not necessary for what we're talking about here. I mean, if you want, we could work on some of those exact licks or fills, but I could also show you a song that uses repeatedly. The song I'm thinking of is "I've Just Seen a Face." The Beatles tune does this. It has a little. We'll forget the intro for now, but it's a little scary because it's fast. I mean, if you listen to their version, it's like they're ripping, right? It's I've just seen a face, I can't forget the time or place where we just met. She's just the girl for me. I want all the world to see we've met. Na 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 na. Now, those are typical bluegrass fills and embellishments. But the main one was I was just alternating bass notes on my G chord. So the strum pattern is basically bass, down, up. Try that on a G chord.
Okay, so
And even slower than what I was just doing there, but we're just, so even just this. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, now try it alternating from the 6th to the 4th string. Use the 4th string as the second bass note. You were hitting the 5th there.
okay.
Yeah. Okay. One more, a really important thing here when we're trying to pick out these independent bass notes or something, we want to make sure that when you strum, you only strum the higher strings, the top 3 strings at the most. In other words, especially when we're using the 4th string as a bass note, you want to hear this, and each of those notes rings the whole time. You don't want to hear, when I strum here, like I don't want to strum the whole chord here. That just blew out the bass note I just played. So listen while I do this. Hopefully this comes out clear enough. I'm not going to strum the fourth string. The fourth string's never going to be in one of my strums, so that you'll hear these two bass notes. So every time I do a stroke, the downstroke, I'm shooting for three strings, and then an upstroke even less, one or two. So the ups are even smaller than the downs. So what's happening is we're playing in two or three different zones. We've got the bass notes, one guitar playing the bass notes, and then those notes aren't part of the strum. But could you hear what I was talking about there? Those two, the bass notes sound like, it doesn't sound like this. See, that's just a blurry mess, right? Compared to this. Okay, so that's a real typical bluegrass strumming pattern. A little while ago, I ran through. In bluegrass playing, there are two main things that the guitar players do, and not that we're going into bluegrass necessarily, but I'm just kind of pointing out some of the similarities of things that happen there. And if I was playing this with a mandolin player and a bass player and a fiddle player, I would be the rhythm guitar player. I'd be doing this for a while. If I was playing sailor's hornpipe, I'd be doing this. And I would just keep doing that, strumming through those chords, while different people played either the melody or took their own lead that they were improvising. And then they might point to me and tell me it's my turn to play the melody, and everybody else would be playing. Even the mandolin player now would be strumming chords, and the violin maybe just playing two notes at a time to kind of fill out the harmony. And so anyway, that's. And then where am I going with this? I want to get back to the Beatles song because this is going to be a good one to practice in here. But you kind of get the idea there, I think, of what this type of strumming, right? And so I've just seen a face, and this is another Neil Young song that we should look at after we've done a couple others to sort of get there. Does a lot of this. Say. So that little part, that's from Tell Me Why of his.
Tell Me Why, okay.
Yeah. But even Sugar Mountain, is that what you said, Sugar Mountain?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sugar Mountain uses normal chords like C's, and in the case of Sugar Mountain, he slides it up to have it be a D and leaves open strings in there, but he just throws in hammer-ons. So that type of stuff. So the thing that we'll try this with this G chord, and when you were first doing this, you're alternating to the fifth string, and that happens really commonly on a G chord, but they throw in a hammer on. They hammer this note on the B rather than hitting it open. So, and you probably heard me do this a little bit already, even in the last couple minutes, but. And you can hear that bass came out really loud and clear, and the strumming was way in the background, because I was just hitting the top strings really softly, and that was probably a little too much, too much emphasis on the bass and not enough on the strumming, but I wanted you to hear that hammer on the bass.
Yeah.
So slower, and then try this. Okay, hang on a second. Don't forget, on the strum, aim for the high strings. So, like, break this up, make sure, get the high strings here.
Try to get all the way to there. Okay.
Yeah. We need the top strings on the strum, no strumming on the bass strings.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm in the way of my own.
Yeah. Now, so I have a suggestion for that. I was going to get to that. there was a 90% chance that was going to be a problem. I just don't want to bring it up unless it was. Okay. I figure there's a slim chance that he'll get away with this. Okay, so why mine is sounding so clear when I do that hammer-on? Now, see, when you were doing it without the hammer-on, your fifth string was coming out loud and clear, right? I mean, I don't know if you remember, but a few minutes ago when we were doing that, you were getting the fifth string nice and clear. And now to try to do a hammer-on there, it comes out, it's dead. Okay, that's because it's obviously touching your third finger, right? And when you're pressing this note down, it lowers the string into a different plane, sort of. And then when you take it off and make it open, it sits up higher, right?
Right.
So really the secret, well, there are at least two solutions to this. One of which is I don't have my G on in the bass with the tip of my finger at all. I'm reaching. If I had a seventh string on here, this would be touching it. I'm kind of playing the G with this part of my finger for getting a lot more clearance. Like see, not like that. Like, so you've got yours going straight into the string right on the tip. Yeah. So, and then just try to play the open fifth string. See if the fifth string open sounds clear. Yeah.
Am I coming off and on with that though? If I'm doing that?
Once you hammer it on, leave it on for the next strum because you're hitting the other bass note then. So
Okay.
you only take it off just to start the hammer on.
Just to do the okay.
Right.
Okay.
Now, okay, now what you got? Now the hammer on has to be a little quicker. It has to be before the next strum. Like the last couple times, you were kind of coordinating it with the down. You were doing this. Okay, and you could barely hear it then because it was the same thing that was happening with the strum.
Okay.
So.
So
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that feeling okay?
Yeah, I can see that now.
Yeah. And there are three main chords you do this exact or a similar hammer on to. You'd also do this on E minor. So go to an E minor chord, and it's much easier on E minor because you don't have the other finger in the way, and you're still doing the same hammer on the fifth string on the second bass note.
Okay, so on O.
Yeah. Yeah, and also on C, you do the same thing on a C chord. Yeah. Okay. So take a look at my lesson on I've Just Seen a Face on the Beatles thing because this is all like tabbed out, I'm pretty sure, and it has a couple of more things in it, but that's like 85% of the song is you're playing a G chord or an E minor or a C. When it goes into the chorus, it goes to a D, and you don't do anything on D except alternate the bass. So there was the whole chorus. It was two measures, and so all you do on D is alternate. This would be the part that goes, falling, yes I am, to a C, and on the C you do the hammer on, falling, and she keeps, to G, calling, back to C, me back again. So every G or C or E minor has that second bass note hammer on.
Okay.
Two more things happen in there if you want to. When it goes from G to E minor, we have a passing bass note. We don't do the hammer on the last G before the E minor. We instead play an F sharp in the bass. So if I was singing this song, it'd be this. I've just seen a face, I can't forget the time or place where we just met. She's just the girl for me, and I want all the world to see we've met. And then this little part gets trickier because we end up picking out the same thing they hum. Na, 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 na. And so what happens there is it goes to a C chord, to B in the bass, to A in the bass. Try that.
Oh,
C in. Yeah, and then two bass notes at the end, G and F sharp. G, F sharp, G. And that's the beginning of a G chord. In other words, now you're back at,
oh no.
yeah. So here's how, listen to that whole thing from the C. So like that last G you played is the beginning of a new measures of G.
Okay.
Okay? So that I think would be a really good one to start with for this.
Yeah. No, that's great.
Yeah. In the interest of full disclosure on this, I'm not sure if I talk about this. I'm sure I talk about this in the lesson. They do it capoed at the second fret, so they're actually in the key of A. So like if you listen to their version, I almost don't want you to listen to their version for two reasons. One of them is it's in a different key. Well, it's just a whole step higher. That's the small reason. The other is it's really fast, so I don't want you to kind of like get like scared by how fast they play this, you know.
Okay.
And it really does give it a bluegrass feel, you know. And oh, that's what it is. It opens. There's a cool little guitar intro to it that is something like that. But all that's in the tab in either case. So, but I think that'd be a good lesson to tackle heading off in this direction. That would eventually get us to other Neil Young songs, "The Needle and the Damage." Did we talk about that one? "The Needle and the Damage Done"?
No, I certainly know the song. But...
Okay, it's very similar. It's this focused picking. And now a little fancier. So, that, and I played a little bit of "Tell Me Why," and a lot of other Neil Young ones are, would be like lined up, ready for us to tackle once you've kind of got a little progress here. Okay.
Okay, that's great. I will definitely go down that road. That sounds like a good project for the week, or for longer. So
yeah, no, this could, yeah. The that thing that Ian Meadows was playing too. As soon as he was, so he was playing his G chord without a note on the fifth string at all. But sometimes he did a hammer on there. But he was playing it with these three fingers, with the two high notes here. And so so when he's playing his G, he sometimes then went to a quick F sharp in the bass and like hammered on the G and stuff like that. And as soon as I started seeing him mess around with that G chord and then go to E minor, I thought about this song. That's another one. It's just I'm picking out individual notes in the middle of the stroke, and then just strumming for the rest of it. So we hear those four notes as kind of like the hook here, and then it goes to E minor with the same four notes. So that's another one we could talk about too. "Who'll Stop the Rain?" Very similar stuff. So
okay, great. All right.
Okay.
I got a lot of stuff to do.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
Well, I'll send you the link to this in a little while, and we'll pick it up next week.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Neil.
Sure. That was fun.
Okay.